Hello and welcome. We have with us Sarabjeet Garcha, who is a poet, translator, and also he leads the publishing house Coppercoin, which has brought out the first Indian and the only Indian edition of John Berger's collected poems. Thank you very much, Sarabjeet, for
Thanks, Sarabjeet.
coming here in spite of nursing a broken finger.
Thank you.
Can you tell us, Sarabjeet, how did this book come about?
Yeah, this book has a little story behind it. Our first Punjabi book by the London-based poet Amarjit Chandan was solicited. I wrote to him to ask for his book, and then after a few months, his book was published. And he told me about John Berger's collected poems being published in UK by a small publisher called Smokestack Books. When I heard about this book, I was very excited. I wrote back to Chandan asking him if we could somehow get the rights for the Indian edition of the book. He in turn wrote back to John Berger's son, Eve. And Eve gave the message to Mr. Berger because Mr. Berger did not have the habit of checking his email. His email was checked by his son and answered by him. John was very excited about being published in India, and he gave us the assent to go ahead. We in turn he put us in touch with the agent. We wrote to the agent, paid a small publishing fee, and that's how we got the rights for the Indian edition.
All right, and could you tell us something about this book, for instance, this book Sonata for Four Hands, which is of course poems by Amarjit Chandan, and it has a foreword by John Berger.
Yes.
So could you tell us something about?
This was published by another publisher.
Okay.
It's but I was excited about how John knew about an Indian poet based in London.
Okay.
So I requested for this book, especially I could not get it in India. I wrote to the poet himself and he sent it to me. But John was an alchemist of the soul, you see. You could not know him and not be transformed. Once you knew him and once you knew his works, you had to be transformed forever. So Chandan is a Berger disciple through and through. He worships John. And you could see that from the foreword that he has written. It's a very honest foreword, and I'm sure he has done this for other books as well. So yeah, that's the story behind this book, and it's a bilingual edition, beautifully brought out, and that's John Berger's connection with Punjab.
Okay, not just with his connection with Punjab. Another reason why I was so excited about John Berger finally arriving in an Indian edition was also the fact that it could initiate not just readers but also established Indian poets. And for instance, we have Amarjit Chandan himself writing on the book, but apart from that we also have Arvind Krishna Mehrotra, who, as we both know, does not write too many good reviews for too many good people.
That's right, yeah.
And also Arundhati Roy. So there's also a kind of real literary interaction that happens once one book comes out. So are you excited, or did you feel excited? And but did the excitement remain? Were you satisfied with the reception, etc.?
Yeah, we were very excited from the beginning. We've always been excited with everything John has written and done, and many people, even many poets in India, did not know that John Berger is also a poet. So of course, and yeah, the reception was very warm, especially by the top-rated poets like Arundhati Subramaniam and Tishani Doshi, writing beautiful reviews for John Berger's book. So yes, overall it went very well, and the book was well received by serious poetry readers. So that's the upshot. And yes, this book will remain in print forever.
Okay. Finally, my question, Sarabjeet, you run an independent alternative publishing house.
Yeah.
And could you tell us some of the difficulties that maybe was brought out, and how did you overcome them?
Well, we did not have to face many difficulties. I can go about romanticizing about facing difficulties, but that would not be true. In fact, it was all serendipity, you see, we finding each other, in the sense I met a poet based in based in Shegaon, and he put me in touch with one of his friends who is a businessman. They were both excited about me founding a publishing house and running it with them. So I got all the financial help from them, and they have stood by me, and I'm sure they'll stand by me even in the future. So that's how it happened. It's always a confluence of ideas, you see. It's a merger of similar minds. And as a creative writer, I feel it is your duty to help other writers also. You should not just remain confined to your creations. You should also learn to nurture other creations which need to be preserved for posterity. So that was one of the reasons. Despite my having a full-time day job, I have run this pretty successfully, I would say, and I've not really faced any difficulties as such, except from the marketing point of view, but that is something we are overcoming, you see, as time moves on.
Okay. Sarabjeet, could you please read? I'd like you to read a poem from
Sure.
this collection.
Okay, this is a poem titled History. The pulse of the dead, as interminably constant as the silence which pockets the thrush. The eyes of the dead, inscribed on our palms as we walk on this earth, which pockets the thrush. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Sarabjeet, for coming here.
Thank you.
Please do get a copy of John Berger's collected poems, and thank you, Sarabjeet.
Thanks.